Hello YouTube, it's Vay, and we're back with another video. I also have a new tripod, so hopefully this angle is a little bit more flattering, although I don't know how to feel about the fact that you can see the floor. You can also see the sign that will not stay up on my wall. Isn't it so cool though? I just tried 2 separate times to film a different video because I really wanted to play Minecraft and show you how bad I am at it. I don't know how to screen record. The screen recording would not last very long. My computer almost crashed like 3 times. So we might need to save that for another time. But comment if you really want it. Have the recording deleted, so there's literally no proof about it. Anyways, I did ask again on Instagram what you guys wanted to see, and some people said Reddit confessions. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I am kind of a stranger to Reddit. I'm just gonna look and see if there's any fun confessions and read them to you. That's the video. All right, we're in. Apparently I already have an account. Okay, this tracks. Makeup, tattoo, petty revenge, AJR, DIY. Okay, so confessions. Ooh, this looks interesting. What terrifying confession has someone told you while drunk? Let's start there. This is the very first comment. I had a housemate in college who several years prior had accidentally shot and killed a friend of his in a hunting accident. He went to trial and was acquitted of all charges. Years later, he didn't tell me, but he told a woman I was intimate with that it wasn't an accident. Well, what's the other one? Years ago, when I worked at the Las Vegas Hilton, oh, Las Vegas, this will be interesting. I had a very high-strung boss named Hussein. Hussein? I'm so sorry. He was from Turkey. We jokingly referred to him as insane because of his personality. Once after our shift was over, he grabbed a case of beer from the supply walk-in fridge and invited a few of us to help ourselves. He probably had about 4 or 5 himself, then proceeded to tell us that when he lived in Turkey, he had kicked some guy's and came to the US to get away. My coworkers and I really didn't give it too much thought. About a month later, we came to find out that while on vacation in Mexico, Hussein had been walking back to his hotel room after drinking at a bar. He had ducked down in an alley to take a piss and was caught by a policeman. He was charged and convicted of public urination. At least at the time, the US didn't have reciprocity with Turkey, but Mexico did. Well, it turns out that what Hussein had described as kicking someone's turned out to be murder. He was taken back to Turkey, where we assumed that he spent the rest of his life in a Turkish prison. I love how this person has had not 1, but 2 instances where someone they know has killed someone. What kind of people are you hanging around with? Once at a college party, this big guy got upset, picked up the table, and threw it across the room, shouting. Everyone was terrified, but we all felt really bad for the guy. A lot of these are about killing. Oh, this is a long one. Okay. My best friend disappeared for a while, presumably left town. We were both in our mid-20s. He came back after a month or so, and he took me out every night drinking and partying. I wondered how he was able to blow so much money on drugs and alcohol, but he wouldn't tell me. I saw him pay our tab one night, and he must have had 12 or 15 grand on him. That's suspicious. That's weird. After coming back to town, he basically stayed inebriated at all times and wanted to hang out with me whenever he could. He'd come over to my place after closing the bars down, and we'd often keep partying until morning. He would usually end up breaking down and crying to me about how he can't live with himself over what he did. He wouldn't give details. Night after night, this would happen until he broke down again one night and told me he was paid a lot of money to do some bad things to bad people. He confessed that he was paid by someone in his dad's gang to burn someone's business down over a money dispute. Then he told me he killed a couple of guys who were thought to be molesting children. He said he was given a handgun and a shotgun and was paid $10,000 after each man was executed. Oh my god! More than 10 years later, I still don't know if I believe him or not. After he came back, he was so fucked up and depressed. If he was telling the truth, it would make sense. He kept doing drugs and drinking until about 5 years ago when he had a heart attack at age 27. He quit using drugs and alcohol, but the damage was done. He suffered another heart attack 6 months later and died a few days before his 28th birthday.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Wow. What's your silly, hilarious story of confession gone wrong? Oh, I've got an embarrassing story. I'm in college, and fall 2022 semester, I had this super fine graduate TA who taught the lab I was in. Once he realized I was basically as old as he was, he started getting real flirty and friendly and had all the subtlety of a brick to the face and would openly flirt with me in front of the class. So the final rolls around and I knew I was going to confess my crush on him. He heavily suggested that I start at a question that was near him so he could be next to me when I started the final. In this class we had to walk around to do our exam. It's a practicum. Anyway, after the exam was over, I waited until every student left the room and I hung out for a while until I got him alone. I finally told him I have a crush on you and he stared at me and was like, yeah, and? As if he wanted me to say more. I blue screened so hard because I expected him to reject me outright and that I didn't know what to say. So I just went, that's it, bye, and walked away at the speed of sound. He said thank you, and it's been awkward every time I've seen him since. People who have heard deathbed confessions. What were some interesting ones? Grandma confessed to murder. Why is there so much murder? How many people out there are murderers? My grandfather admitted to me and only me that he accidentally had sex with a man. Congratulations on coming out. Safe place here, Grandpa. My grandpa, a Sicilian man with blessed cooking skills, told us on his deathbed that his meatballs were actually frozen meatballs from the grocery store. The only bigger scandal I can imagine is if he had admitted his sauce was also store-bought. That's funny, I like that one. Imagine going your whole life being like, yeah, Grandpa's, world famous meatballs. He makes the best meatballs ever. And the last thing he ever says is like, come here, come closer. Were store-bought. My grandfather, who had not been a religious man throughout his life, stated on the second to last day he was alive that in the prior few nights he was seeing beings in the bedroom with him. He could not discern what they were, but one in particular made him very fearful. Ooh. I've always been into paranormal stuff, but especially recently, that's crazy. If it's the days leading up to his death, that probably makes sense. I mean, he's definitely not in the right headspace. Like he's not there really anymore. I've heard so many stories about people who are very close to death. I've heard a lot of stories specifically about really old people who their spouse has already passed away and they're laying on their deathbed in the hospital and they're like, oh, my husband is here for me. And then they die right after that. It's like they're literally seeing ghosts because they're that close to death. And that's crazy to think about. My great uncle actually confessed to having 2 illegitimate sons right before he kicked the bucket in front of his own children and grandchildren. Whoa. The crazy thing was that none of his children knew this life of his. Not even my great aunt knew about it because she would have made a huge fuss if she was alive at the time and knew about it. What was crazier was that these 2 sons already passed away 5 and 7 years ahead of him respectively. He was 98 years old and his invisible sons were 65 and 69 years old. The children found out that one of his invisible sons actually was a teacher at a school that his granddaughters attended when they were in school. Nevertheless, his children decided to reach out to the children of his invisible sons. They got connected and learned more stuff about my granduncle. The craziest thing was I actually dated one of the granddaughters of one of the invisible sons. Wait, but does that mean? Anyways, let's move on. A couple of days before my grandmother passed away, she was really confused and was talking about my mother having a child a year or so after my own birth that was sent for adoption. She was talking about how sad and horrible this was and that I deserved to know. After my grandmother passed, I confronted my mom about it and she neglected this and I truly believed her. A couple of months later, it turns out my grandmother was the one adopting a baby girl who was born between my mother and aunt. Oh. Tell us your most down bad confessions. Uh-oh. Like every reel in my For You page that has been liked by him, so we both get the same algorithm of feed. You know what? Props to you. What is the creepiest confession / most disturbing that you've heard from an otherwise normal person? I had a friend confess that every time he stayed at my apartment, which was frequently because we lived in different countries, sometimes he would stay for a month plus at a time, he watched me sleep. I woke up with him staring at me. He was literally inches away from my face, just staring, and I freaked out. He broke down and confessed my husband was asleep next to me. That was the most creepy for sure. It also ended our friendship. Yeah, I would think it would. Why though? Why? Ew. In high school, we were hanging out with this kid who was a grade lower than us, and he started talking about how he buried a cat up to its head. What? And then ran it over with the lawnmower. Let's move on. My ex-boyfriend could not handle our breakup. Same. I broke it off with him because of significant issues, drugs, stealing, etc. I finally got out of it. He didn't. He would not give up on me. Same. At first, he was desperate at trying to get back with me, following me, waiting in obscure locations for when I walked to my car, and even threatening to kill himself if I didn't see him. I blocked his numbers, changed my email, transferred colleges, moved a state away, and tried to move on with my life. Wow. He was in and out of jail for drugs and stealing in addition to concealed weapons charges, which was scary for me knowing all the times when he confronted me alone. It was about 4 or so years later when I received the creepiest phone call. It was him calling to tell me that he was looking for me all this time. The tone of his voice, the horrific laughter, I freaked out. I called my parents and informed them, hey, if I go missing, this is who has me. Called campus security and made sure they had his description. He never showed up, but my God, the voice on the other end of the line still brings chills. I have chills. That's scary. It scares me to this day that he is out there possibly looking for me. Oh my God. That they have cannibalistic thoughts in the past. That's it. That's the whole post. I need details, brother. Oh, this one is a story. Okay, hang on. Okay, unfortunately, this is about me. I told a friend and they were pretty creeped out about it, and I'm quite embarrassed of it really. I've never done it again, and it's really changed the way I talk to people online. My Reddit account has some very easy to follow steps to find out who I am, so I only post positive things, very tame critiques, and that's about it. My account has my name that I share with a lot of other things, previous online accounts, etc., but my story is about how I cyberstalked a BF3 hacker just because he was being annoying. Interesting. I don't know what BF3 means, but he cyberstalked a hacker? Oh, Battlefield 3. See, you can see why the Minecraft video would have been so fun because I know nothing about video games, clearly. When BF3 became free to play, I joined a TDM server. I have quite a few hours. I really enjoyed it. To see a full server again was quite fun. I was kicking ass. Then this guy joins. This guy starts kicking ass, headshotting me from across the map. I don't think too much of it, but I ask, hey man, is that all skill? He responds it is, and he's streaming. It's not a very popular game, so I took less than a minute to find his Twitch stream. Oh my God, tongue twister. Just look for a picture of the same map being played, and his was the first. Clearly hacking. Boxes on screen, snapping headshots, the whole 9 yards. So now I had his stream. I called it out in game, linked the stream, and he left / was booted a minute later. In that minute, he was joking about how, as the game was free, he could just get another account and keep going. On his stream, he wasn't talking, but he was typing. He was typing to another streamer. Now his stream just had me as a viewer. I was pretty bored, and he had my attention. He hadn't really ruined my gaming experience. It was just, who is this douche? His Twitch name matched his Twitter name, which he used to promote his stream. His Twitter was filled with bully, trolling posts at people, and he was just a smarmy douchebag. Smarmy, I like that word. No photos though. His name was included, but it wasn't a very unique name. Now I have a Twitter account and name. This is where it gets even worse. I start to trawl his posts, going back months. I find a post that links him to a town. I Google search the town and his name, bingo. Post about Australia Day and how he thought this town had put on a really bad show, just saying how bad it was, etc., and trolling people in the comments. It was a small town and people were biting, you should organize it if you think you're so great. He was eating it up. But I had his Facebook. I love the storytelling of this guy. Now I had his stream. Now I have his Twitter account. Now I have his Facebook. Now I have his social security number. Start looking into his profile. Posts were private, but the Facebook URL closely matched the Twitter, so I knew it was him. The profile pics were nondescript, banned pages, random shit like that. But this guy had a girlfriend, her profile was public, and she kept tagging him in posts. It was so cringy. I love you, boo, you are my world, the most beautiful girl I know, etc., etc. The guy and his girlfriend were 2 ham planets. He was the epitome of a keyboard warrior. He had a fedora wearing lens flare edited profile picture, but it was actually just perfect. It was just so satisfying that this guy was the stereotype personified. I do love that. I could have left it there, but I had to go a step further. I created another Twitch account just to let the guy know I found him. I posted his Facebook details in the chat of Twitch. There was like max 4 people watching him stream, but you could see it pop up on a stream chat. Him pause mid-game and just not do anything for like 5 seconds. He closed the stream. Honestly, I love that story. Oh, And my screen recording stopped again, so I think that's it for today. Well, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this. Like I said, the past couple videos have been from Instagram polls, so make sure you're following me on Instagram so you can see when I'm putting out polls. I have all of my social media in the description. I have the same username pretty much everywhere, so. Actually, if you have a confession or a story about a confession, comment that below. I would love to hear them. Other than that, that's about it. That's all I have for today, so I'll see you whenever I see you.